Good evening, Derbyshire Police. How can I help?
Hiya. I'm just wanting to report something that happened with a supervisor at my work. So, basically, me and this supervisor, we was messaging a bit, getting to know each other, and then I called it off because I didn't have no feelings for him. And then he became, obsessed with me and wouldn't leave me alone. And then on the 4th of January, before work, he was sat waiting at my horse's field, waiting for me to go there, which scared me a lot. And so I drove straight to work, and I just want something to be on file and for me to report this because it's got worse and worse, and I'm just worried that the next time it happens to someone else, they might kidnap someone. Do you know what I mean?
You're watching Totally True Crime.
Totally True Crime.
Today's case takes us to Derbyshire in England. Gracie Spinks was born in 1997 to her parents Richard and Alison. Photos of Gracie show a blonde, athletic young girl, often smiling or playfully posing. She was described as vivacious, outgoing and friendly, and though her parents had split up, she remained close with both of them. Gracie had a younger brother who was just 16 months her junior, and then her mother and new partner had a baby and gave Gracie a little sister who she adored. In 2021, Gracie was 23 years old. She'd had a few different jobs to support herself and her horse. She was an excellent horse rider, as well as being a confident swimmer, and she also trained as a lifeguard. The previous year, in April 2020, Gracie had started working for a company called Exbyte. They were based in Chesterfield. It's an internet retailing and wholesaling business. They sold video games, toys, gadgets and gifts. And it was there that Gracie first came into contact with a man called Michael Sellars. He was described by his colleagues as shy and introverted. He lived with his parents, and one of his colleagues said he had a habit of latching on to people who gave him attention. Michael was 12 years older than Gracie, and by December 2020, he made it clear that he wanted a romantic relationship with her. They'd met up a few times outside of work, they'd visited each other's homes, and they'd gone on a few walks. But Gracie had made it clear that she was not interested in taking their relationship further than just being friends. But Michael continued to want more, and he became obsessed with Gracie. He started to engage in stalking behaviours, and by January 2021, Gracie was so concerned about Michael's unwanted attention that she told the managers at their workplace. Michael was also her supervisor and had had a lot of contact with her in the office. Gracie told them that Michael had turned up at her home with things that she'd asked him to bring back to her, things that she'd lent to him. But whilst he was there, he tried to kiss her and he climbed on top of her. She told him to leave, and reluctantly he did. Gracie blocked Michael on social media, and she also blocked his text messages, but this didn't seem to deter Michael. In the past, he'd spied on Gracie using the company's CCTV cameras, and when he was fired, he asked his former co-workers if they would continue to spy on Gracie for him. A few days later, Gracie spotted Michael parked up next to the stables where she kept her horse Paddy. When she saw his car, she was scared and continued to drive without stopping. He had no reason to be at those stables. It was then that she decided to call the police.
Good evening, Derbyshire Police. How can I help?
Hiya. I'm just wanting to report something that happened with a supervisor at my work.
Okay, what's your surname?
Spinks, Spinks.
And your first name?
Gracie. Well, quite a few things have happened, yeah. So basically, me and this supervisor, we was messaging a bit on Messenger and stuff, getting to know each other, and then I called it off because I didn't have no feelings for him. And then he became like obsessed with me and wouldn't leave me alone, and basically loads of things happened. And then on the 4th of January, before work, he was sat waiting at my horse's field, like waiting for me to go there, which scared me a lot. And so I drove straight to work, and I told work, and they've been doing a big massive investigation on him, and he got suspended. He got the sack, but then now he's trying to appeal it, saying that I'm a liar and this other person's a liar. And I don't want anything to happen. I don't want him to be arrested or anything, but I just want something to be on file and for me to report this, because my work have said that things have happened like this in the past, and that this is the worst one that's happened. And they've said that every time this has happened at work, it's got worse and worse, and I'm just worried that the next time it happens to someone else, that you're not going to, it could be worse than just following me and not leaving me alone. He might kidnap someone. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so he was waiting for you on your horse. Did he see you? Did you not? Didn't get out. You just drove past.
No, I just drove past because I blocked him on all my social media, and that's when he turned up at my horse's field.
This was not the first time that Michael Sellars had displayed worrying and obsessive behaviour towards females. In the call, Gracie told the police that her managers at work had told her that he'd, quote, done this before. In fact, 8 previous female employees had complained about Michael's behaviour towards them. The police paid a visit to Michael and offered him some words of advice, but they didn't issue any formal warnings, and the police closed the case. They said they did this because Gracie didn't want to prosecute, and they had graded Michael as a standard risk, citing that because he'd not used threats of violence towards her, they didn't deem him high risk. He also had no previous criminal convictions. Now that Michael had been fired from their company, there was no reason for him to see Gracie again, but his obsession was consuming him, and it was about to take a sinister turn. The following month, on the 11th of March 2021, Michael Sellars bought a set of knives. 2 months later, in May 2021, he put them into a brown Nike backpack, along with an axe, a hammer, a packet of Viagra, and a note that he'd written on that said, "Don't lie." At the bottom of the bag was a receipt from a previous purchase from a Marks & Spencer's store. Alongside those items were some antibacterial wipes, 3 plastic bags, a piece of paper, a Sharpie marker pen, black jogging bottoms, a black hooded top, and a water bottle with the words, "Nothing worth having comes easy," written on it. Weirdly, there were also 3 copies of a quote that had been written by Bill Hicks. He was an American comedian and author, and the quote was, "I left in love, in laughter and in truth, and whatever the truth, love and laughter abide, I am there in spirit." Michael then left the backpack on a public footpath, a footpath next to the field that Gracie kept her horse Paddy in, a field that she frequently went to alone. But it wasn't Gracie that discovered the backpack, it was a member of the public. A local woman was out walking her dog on the 6th of May when she came across the bag. Curious, she looked inside and discovered the troubling and suspicious contents. Alarmed by her discovery of this backpack of weapons, she handed them over to Derbyshire Police. But the officers assumed that they were bushcraft tools, and no further effort was made to try and track down the owner of the bag. The lady who found the bag told the media that she was stunned that nothing more was being done to track down the person that had put those worrying items together and left them on a public path. She said the note saying "don't lie" made her think there was something very worrying about what the contents in the bag may have been intended for. On the same day that the bag was found, Michael Sellars purchased more knives, but this time he didn't discard them. On the 16th of June 2021, CCTV footage captured Michael walking into a local Wilko store. He was spotted walking up and down different aisles on the CCTV cameras, and the next day he was caught going to a Starbucks in Sheffield at lunchtime. That evening, he drove around the area where Gracie lived, and he arrived home at 9:30 p.m. In the early hours of June 18th, his parents' home security cameras captured him loading up his car with some large boxes. He then started driving around the area where Gracie lived just after 1 a.m. He returned home half an hour later, but by 6:15 a.m, he was back out at his car and he placed a large holdall in the boot. He left his home at 6:33 a.m. CCTV cameras caught him on Rectory Road at 6:50 a.m, and he parked up his car and walked on foot to Duck Manton Road. This is the road that led down to the stables where Gracie kept her horse Paddy. Michael knew Gracie's routine, and he predicted that Gracie would soon be arriving to tend to her horse. Gracie left her home at 7:45 a.m. and drove to the stables. She had no idea that this would be the last journey she would ever make. When she arrived, Michael Sellars attacked Gracie. He stabbed her 10 times with a knife. Gracie's body was discovered at 8:13 a.m, less than half an hour after she'd left her home. Paramedics tried desperately to save her, but she had catastrophic bleeding. A knife was found near to her body, and Gracie died from her injuries around 8:50 a.m. Michael Sellars' body was also found in a field nearby around 11 a.m. He had taken his own life. Gracie and Michael's families were left with the horrific aftermath of this murder-suicide. The police and Gracie's family started to realise that there had been significant failings from the police, and if action had been taken sooner, then this could potentially have been avoided. When a potential stalking is reported, a risk assessment should be done to ascertain the risks to the victim, to the wider public, and to the stalker themselves. On the 999 call Gracie made, she told the operator that Michael had stalked other women from their workplace. The police could have requested a file from their employer, but they didn't. They would have seen a disturbing pattern of behaviour if they had, and the police had not completed a risk assessment in this case. The police also missed an opportunity to link the backpack full of weapons to Michael. The backpack was found in the police property room. It had a single evidence number on it, but each item should have been looked at individually as per their protocol. If this had been done, aside from the obvious weapons that should have caused greater concern, they could have linked this back to Michael and his family, because the Marks and Spencer's receipt that was found in the bottom of the bag was a receipt from a purchase that Michael's father had made just days before. If a risk assessment had been done after Gracie called 999, the officers may have cross-referenced the name from the credit card transaction and the address it was associated with the same address and name that Gracie had given the police when she reported Michael for stalking. The bag was also left a short distance from where Gracie had reported that she'd seen Michael parked up by her horse stables. Further inspection could also have revealed the sinister origins of the quote that was found written out on 3 notes in the backpack. The quote, "I left in love, in laughter and in truth, and whatever the truth, love and laughter abide, I am there in spirit," was from a famous letter titled "I'm Dead Now" that had been written by comedian Bill Hicks. Bill had written this at the end of a letter he released to his fans whilst he was dying from pancreatic cancer. A quick internet search of this quote by officers would have told them this and possibly prompted further concern. But most significantly, there were several extremely dangerous items in the bag, and the police treated them as lost property instead of deadly weapons. Gracie Spinks was laid to rest, and hundreds of mourners gathered to pay their respects. Her coffin was placed in a horse-drawn carriage and decorated with her favourite colour purple. During her inquest, the coroner became aware of another significant failing by Derbyshire Police. In August 2023, over 2 years after Gracie's murder, a child found a knife in some bushes in a local park. The knife had been concealed within a sock, and the child's parents reported it to the police. The concealment especially had made it look as though it might have been placed there to potentially be used later. The police advice was for this member of the public to destroy the knife. The police also informed them that they would not be attending the scene where they'd found it. This prompted the coroner to become concerned over Derbyshire's police's attitude towards the discovery of dangerous weapons in public places. The officer who had spoken to the woman who had discovered the backpack of weapons left by Michael Sellars was questioned by police watchdogs, and they asked her why she didn't conduct a full investigation. She told them that she'd considered a number of different reasons for the contents of the bag, including woodwork, theatrics, or even props for a sex act. She did not see them as weapons for murderous intent. She did say that she told her sergeant about the receipt that she found in the bag and said that they could use it to track down the owner, but her sergeant said that she didn't need to. The coroner was also told that Derbyshire Police Force did not have enough training or knowledge on stalking behaviours. Derbyshire Police referred themselves to the IOPC, the Independent Office for Police Conduct. At Michael Sellars' inquest, it was ruled that he died from self-inflicted suffocation. Michael wanted to avoid taking accountability for Gracie's murder, and he had purchased an item that was used in his death, which showed that he had planned to take his own life all along. A book was found in his bedroom which detailed different methods of suicide, as well as a handwritten suicide note. He also left notes of a practical nature for his family. Michael's family did not attend his inquest, but they did tell the coroner that Michael's mental state had declined after he'd been fired from Expite. They described him as fragile, quiet and withdrawn. Gracie's friends and family, united in their grief, attended her inquest wearing purple hoodies bearing her name in memory of her. Her father, Richard Spinks, spoke outside of the court after the inquest had concluded.
Hello everybody, my name is Richard Spinks, very proud father of Gracie. Gracie was our daughter, the light of our lives. She was the gel that kept us all together. We've missed her every day since she went, and we'll continue to remember her every second, every minute, every hour for as long as we live. Derbyshire Police let Gracie down. They let the family down, they let themselves down, and we hope they do not let anybody else down. They do need to change how they operate from top to bottom. We would like to thank our legal team who have worked so hard over the last 2 years. Our solicitors, Sergeant Chalbury of Harewood Law, Nerita Barra KC, Rachel Ferrari of 33 Chancery Lane. We'd like to also thank all our friends, family, and the great people of Chesterfield and beyond that have helped us and guided us and given us so much support. They've been absolutely amazing, and I can't thank them enough. And I'd like to thank the coroner as well and all his staff. Thank you.
Gracie's father, Richard, told Sky News that he hoped his daughter's death would not be in vain and that changes could be made within police forces from lessons learnt. Derbyshire Police admitted they failed Gracie and have promised to make a number of changes to their way of working, including rewriting their policy on how to investigate stalking cases, and they reviewed how they handled found property. They said that they formed a golden circle that will monitor the recommendations made to them through Gracie's Prevention of Future Deaths report. The Home Office also responded by looking into the need for more independent stalking advocates. These are people who are specially trained to offer support and advice to victims of stalking. Gracie's loved ones set up a website, www.graciespinks.com, which has lots of information on Gracie, who she was, her case, and how members of the public can support them to make changes that will benefit victims of stalking. If you've been affected by any of the issues raised in this video, please see the description for organisations that can both help and support you. If you found this video interesting, please subscribe for more weekly true crime videos like these. You've been watching Totally True Crime.